It's Father's Day this weekend, so I just needed another excuse to drink Longmorn because it's always what reminds me of my dad. And this was a gift from Michael Beek, who actually sent this whiskey, to 2021, 4 years ago. And it's been in the vault. And he said, review it if you can, a comparison would be cool. And I just sort of kept it stashed and careful in the vault for the Psalms to try. That's why it's, about a third of it gone. But I'm going to compare it to the more modern release of the Longmorn 16. And by the way, welcome to the Whiskey Vault. This is, I'm going to say hidden drams because Longmorn didn't have anything to do with this. Michael Beek had everything to do with this. So this is a 2009. So Gordon Macphail is an independent bottling company. And I'm a huge fan of Gordon Macphail. And they are a very old company. And they have this series that they call distillery labels. And that's where they take very specific casks. I mean, they're old enough now that they contract with distilleries to put new make into barrels. I don't know if this is one of those, but it's sort of from the write-up sounds like it. And then they age it themselves in their own barrels. Again, don't know if this is one of those, but it's possible based on the write-up. They put their Longmorn, Gordon Macphail, they have Longmorn in sherry casks and in American used bourbon casks. And then they put it back together for this release. It was distilled in 2005. It was bottled in 2019. And they even have the original name, which was the Longmorn Glenlivet Distilleries, which is a really cool piece of Scottish history I'll tell you about in a second. So anyway, here's to fathers everywhere. Here's to you, Michael Beek. Thank you. Oh, man. Oh, it's so good. Dark chocolate and orange jam, like orange, it's not jam, but it's like a fruit spread. What's the fruit spread that's not jam and it's not preserves? Orange, Marmalade? Marmalade! Yeah, it's a jam, but and when you call it orange, you don't call it orange jam. You call it orange marmalade. If it's the jam category, right? But dark fruit, grape, super dark sherry, fig, plum, orange citrus zest. There is a lot going on in this nose. It's 43%. That's a lot going on in the nose for 43%. And the palate. Ooh, black pepper zest. This is the most zesty of all the independent bottlings I've had in a while, especially for low proof. Man, this is delicious. Michael, I hope you got to try this. If not, I might need to pull a sample and melt you some olive oil so you can see what we're drinking. Good night. Rolls in dead middle, then unfurls in the back third of the palate into dry spice, roasted notes, but it's all coated in that citrus zest and dark fruit. Hot dang. Okay, so here's a really cool part of early trademark history in Scotland. Glenlivet, the distillery you know as Glenlivet, was not the only distillery called Glenlivet at the time. There were a whole bunch of people who called their stuff Glenlivet because it was a geographical designation, right? Well, once they got a license, what was it, 1823, if I remember correctly? They're the first Highland distillery to get a license on the new thing. And I can't remember the year they started fighting back on other people using the name Glenlivet because they were the Glenlivet distillery. And it went to court, and what was ruled was that all the other distilleries could use Glenlivet, but only as a hyphenated name. And so you end up with, I don't know if it was Craig Ellicky, but Craig Ellicky Glenlivet, or right here in small print, the Longmorn Glenlivet Distilleries, right? And you don't find that on modern ones because in the modern bottlings, it just says Longmorn. They've dropped the Glenlivet. But there's a whole window of Scottish history where you see these distillery name followed by dash Glenlivet. That's because of the trademark with the other one. Now, my memory, and I've said this over and over on the channel with Longmorn, is that a new guy took over his blender, and when he started blending, he started adding older casks to the Longmorn 16, and it kind of wiped out the pepper zest that I loved. This one has all the pepper zest, and it's because it's 13 years old. And I know 2005 to 2019 is 14 years, but because of the month dates, it's listed as a 13-year-old Scotch. As soon as you put older Longmorn in, a lot of those pepper zest notes tend to kind of dissipate. And that's, to me, one of my favorite things about Longmorn, and so I miss it. It doesn't make it bad. It just makes it not as... I like younger Longmorn. I just think I like the youth and the flavor that the younger Longmorn provides. Yeah, see, the difference already on the nose. This has a little bit of earth and pepper, and this one, it doesn't have any of that orange citrus. It's mostly darker berries. Maybe you could argue a lighter zest and slightly a vanilla cream. If it sits long enough in the glass, it does get a little sparkly. You could argue that that's the citrus, but in this one, it's just right up front. Orange, dark chocolate, little black pepper. Man, a magical one, a really good one. Let me try the palate. Soft, approachable. Now in the very, very back of the palate, there's a little bit that approaches the sort of smoke, sort of sparkle, but it's not ashy. But it's all in the back of the palate. The front is all sweet fruits. On this one, a little more sparkle, a little more heft, a little more like density and weight. And what's weird is it shouldn't be more dense, but it's got the flavors that are there are heavier handed. These are a more delicate touch. And so I could see how you would have blended this and gone for more of like the sort of luxury market of like smooth and pretty and very approachable. But I just really love the almost rawness of a younger Longmorn and how alive it feels, which is very cool. Okay, I don't do this a lot, but I'm going to do it right now. It is halfway through June. The next Whiskey Level 1 is in July. We are also in July doing a couple of other EWA and a bourbon, Stave and Thief bourbon, executive bourbon steward class. But if you've always wanted to attend Whiskey Level 1 in the heat of the Texas summer, this July is your chance. And we would love to see you there. Oh, happy Father's Day, guys. I really hope I get a tie. That was a trope. You know, for the longest time, they always get ties for Father's Day. I've never gotten a tie for Father's Day. I kind of want a tie for Father's Day. Except I'm kind of picky, so it's hard to buy clothes for me. I know it doesn't seem like it, but but when it comes to clothes that aren't this outfit, I'm kind of picky. Anyway, cheers to you. I hope you're having a good beginning to your summer. Ooh. And I'm really glad you're here. Happy Father's Day. And I don't know if you've hit like on this video yet, but you better. And I hope you're subscribed, or that would just be embarrassing. And boys, get me a tie.